I'm Wei Xiang from class 1222. My question is, as reporters, right, you all have seen many different kinds of education systems from many different countries. So, what do you think are some of the lessons that our Singapore education can learn from the other education systems, and what can they learn from us?
Well, I can go back to a famous Newsweek article that was run a few years ago. You know how Singapore does very well in some of these international benchmarking tests in education, the science, maths and science international tests. Singapore students always come up top around the world, all right? We beat the US, we beat Australia, we beat the Scandinavian countries. The only person that we can't seem to beat are the Koreans. Nevertheless, we are 1 or 2 in maths and science. And it has made the Americans look at us in terms of what is it that we are doing that they should be adopting for their systems. But interestingly enough, journalist Farid Zakaria, who now writes for Time magazine and who's on CNN, he asked the education minister then, who's our deputy prime minister now, why is it that Singapore, despite doing so well in these international tests, are unable to produce the Nobel Prize winners and the field medalists, your next Steve Jobs, the great inventors? And his answer to that was, there are some things in the US that you do well in your school that we are not doing. And one of it is, he said, we wish that we had a system that encourages more creative thinking, that we had a system that encourages more out-of-the-box thinking. So he said that while we have students who are very good at taking exams and doing well in exams, we don't have students who will think out of the box and who will go on to do their own thing and excel in a particular field. So that's something that you should think about. Is Singapore an exam meritocracy, or are we a talent meritocracy, the way the US is? Interestingly enough, the US is trying to learn from Singapore on how to raise the level of their general population to a certain level as high as Singapore. While we, on the other hand, are looking to the US and thinking, how can we produce these great people who go on to win the Nobel Prize prizes, or the field medalists, or go on to invent something, or who's the next Steve Jobs? So that's something we need to think about.
I would like to bring the context of the discussion into the current situation where the education system is trying to put more emphasis on the development of the students' characters. So I'd like to ask if the values, are they better taught in school, or is it better to leave it to the parents at home to teach the students about values?
Well, I think that values should be everywhere. I don't think you should get a break from values discussion, because every situation that you are in life presents you with different options on what sort of values you want to exercise as a human being. This is really a discussion on how to be good, how to be somebody of high caliber, quality person, you know. So it's in the fact that you can read a book and absorb material and pass a test, but when you see a lift door closing on somebody, do you rush to help hold the door open and let them go? Is it automatic for you to help an old person across the road without even thinking? Or do you have to think, oh my goodness, should I help this person? How? If I help this person, you know, this person's going to fall down and it's going to be my fault. You know, that is an ongoing dialogue in your head when it comes to values, right? So my answer to that is that values learning should be from the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to sleep at night. And it is in what you find around to make those choices, you know, that we all make as human beings every day. Do I get angry at somebody that has annoyed me? And do I yell and shout, or do I choose a wiser option and exercise intelligence and discussion and engagement? Do I, study for a test and make sure that I do really, really well? Or do I put some time aside? Is it as important for me to help a friend? So this is something that you face every day. Can I teach it to you in a book? Maybe a few kinds of books, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? Different sorts of books espouse different values. Maybe you can pick up on what you want from those books. I see one of your classmates here is wearing a T-shirt that says resilience. The resilience is a very core value that all schools are trying to teach young people, right? Do you feel that you are resilient?
Yes.
Okay, how resilient would you be if you took a very important exam in your life and you failed it miserably?
Well, actually, I had, because the first time I took the O-level Chinese exam, I actually didn't do well. So, yeah, I actually picked myself up and recovered from my trauma, so to say. Yeah.
You see, this is the difference between you and possibly a student studying in the US. If they fail the subject, it wouldn't be traumatic for them. They'd just be, oh well, all right then, I failed. It's traumatic for you because you grew up in a culture that is very. There's a lot of strong emphasis on the Asian F. You know what the Asian F is? It's a B. Okay, an Asian F is a B. It's not an A. Okay, that's enough to send somebody spiraling out of control, right? As Asian D, Asian E, Asian G would be the US equivalent of a C or maybe I don't know. So C minus. So your values are already very different, I think that you need to ask yourself, constantly ask yourself, I think it comes from inside you, values education. It's a response to things. You can shape that. Not just your teachers. Your poor teachers have enough on their plates. They teach you values. So you have to make those decisions.
Thank you, Jamin. Jamin has obviously embodied one of our college values, resilience, by overcoming his traumatic experience of failing Chinese. All right, there is a question here from Neo Se Hian of 1205. He wants to know your opinion on whether elitism is inevitable in our education system and how it could be combated.
Yes, I mean, I do think elitism is inevitable, yeah. But I think the more important thing is that we have to come up with different definitions of success and not think of success only in terms of how many A's you're going to score for your A-levels and O-levels. So that's what we need to come up with, different definitions of success. What if someone doesn't make it to a junior college, say he does poorly and ends up in the ITE, and then makes it to Polytechnic, and then to university, and does very well? Would you consider him as successful as someone who went to Raffles Institution, and then to Yale NUS Liberal Arts College, and then perhaps do a job in the admin service in the Singapore government? So we all need to think about what would you consider success. And what if someone was a great footballer or a great sportsman? Would you consider them as successful as someone who became a minister or a CEO of a company? These are the things that you need to think of.
Recently, the MOE proposed the EduSafe Character Award. My question is, what is your opinion of the EduSafe Character Award, where monetary award is given for good character?
I think it's a fantastic idea. I mean, it's as difficult to be a person of good character as it is to get an A in a maths exam. It's very difficult to be a person of good character. A lot of work goes into it. Did you read, okay, you didn't read this, but I'm assuming most of you would not have seen the article, or maybe some of you might have. Sunday Times, just this weekend, there was an interview with a pair of parents and a wayward bratty daughter. They had two daughters. They have two daughters. One of them is bratty. And her father, who's a publisher, decided that he would help her through her brattiness by making her sit down and write reflections on what she had done every single day. And she was writing 2,000-word essays every day, you know. And at the end of 1 year, she had the brattiness taken out of her, and she had a very strong relationship with her father and mother, and you know, she was discussing her issues. She was engaging. And at the end of the year, she had turned her grades around, and she had even won an all-rounder award for good character. So that's a lot of work for good character. If I told you that that money would go to you if you made an A in maths, would you do it?
An A in maths?
Yeah, if you ace maths, I will give you the money.
No.
No. But if I tell you if you are a good girl all year, I'll give you the money. Would you be a good girl all year?
Yes.
Good character?
I'll be a good girl. Even if there's...
Somebody of good character, you know, this is a character award, mind you. You have to be a high caliber person. Every day.
I think that is personal, is something that if a family tries to inculcate the good character in their children, then the emphasis should be on the parents. Like the responsibility should be on the parents. Just like the example that you've named previously, is the parent that made the child do reflections, and that is why the child grew to be someone that has good character.
But she deserves the award.
Yeah.
So in the same way, I think if MOE manages to identify somebody with a strong character, that person deserves an award. The best way to do it, maybe the most obvious way to everybody else, that we are throwing support behind a person, is to give them money. But it's not necessarily that we are buying good character with money. It's because this person is already demonstrating great character. That's why we choose to reward it that way. That's the way I see it. I wouldn't see it as something that, okay, I can buy good character just by paying you a lot of money. That may last for a day or two, then you'll just lapse.
Serene, can I jump in here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I disagree that you should give money for the character awards. In fact, I wrote an opinion piece criticizing the move to attach a monetary award to the character education awards. I'm a great believer in, you can go and look this up, it's called the self-determination theory. And a lot of studies have shown that when you offer a reward for someone to do something, they don't do it as well, and they do not internalize it as well as when you don't offer a reward. And they should think about why this is a good thing to do. And if they go on to do some good deed, that would be internalized if there was no reward attached to it. There have been many such studies. You can go and look it up. It's all in the literature out there. So I do not believe that you should attach money to character education awards. I think it sends all the wrong signals as well.